Joining me now, former acting DHS Secretary and Center for Homeland Security and Immigration Chair at America First Policy Institute, Chad Wolf. Chad, what do you, your reaction to that judge's invitation to Joe Biden?
Well, I think it's certainly something that the president should take him up on. Look, the president hasn't been to that border in years, frankly. The vice president only went to El Paso, really didn't see the ground zero for that border, which is South Texas. And I think what the men and women of the Border Patrol, those agents out there, they want to see some leadership. In fact, the secretary has only been there 8 times, the secretary of DHS 8 times in over 15 months. And so they want to see some leadership there. But I suspect that the president's not going because he doesn't have good news for those agents. He's not delivering on any policies or any deterrence that's going to get this crisis under control. Instead, they just want to continue to process more and more individuals into the country as quickly as possible. And I think the Border Patrol and those folks along that border know that that is a losing strategy.
And they're losing on immigration, only 32%, so less than 1/3 of those polled by Fox News found that Joe Biden approved of his performance on immigration, while 61% disapprove. And then you have that poll on rescinding Title 42 that the vast majority of people do not want it rescinded. They were craven poll watchers and followers, this administration. Why aren't they watching that now?
Well, it's a great question. I think what that poll shows you is that the American people want an orderly process along that border, and they're not getting it from this administration. Instead, hundreds of thousands of individuals are coming across the border each and every month and released into the United States. And if you lift Title 42 and you remove it, I think the American people know that that's only going to make the crisis worse at the border. And again, the Biden administration is not talking about any solutions. They came out with a 6-point plan, which just talks about processing more and more individuals into the country. So I think their solution is not being lost on the American people, and they know that it's not really border security. It's just simply processing more people faster and quicker.
Right. Charlie Hurt, jump in here.
You know, it's really amazing. No issue more than the border shows how disconnected Washington is from voters, and we're seeing this clearly in polls now, where even Democrat, it's an important issue even among Democrats. But Chad, and obviously you've done a lot, had a lot to do with making this issue a top priority for voters. But I'm amazed at this administration when you see them promoting something like this truth ministry or these slanderous lies about how the agents perform their duties on horseback down at the border. And then we see somebody like the Texas National Guard soldier who lost his life last week trying to save somebody. What is the morale like as from your perspective among Border Patrol agents?
Well, I was just down in South Texas along that border just a couple of weeks ago where we talked to Border Patrol agents and we talked to their leadership. And I will tell you, the morale is about as low as I have ever seen it or ever heard it be inside that Border Patrol. And so if you take the issue that you just discussed, which is the whipping of those so-called whipping of those migrants last year, the administration from the president to the vice president and even the secretary, it took them about an hour to come out and talk very sternly about those Border Patrol agents, which we know is all false. It took them over 3 days to actually acknowledge that National Guardsman had lost their life or had drowned or was missing. They didn't want to come out and talk about that. So I think it tells you where their priorities are at the end of the day. And then when you talk about this Disinformation Governance Board, look, the focus of the department needs to be on the crisis of the border and doesn't need to be distracted by these other issues.
And Chad, Republicans in both the House and the Senate introducing legislation to terminate and block any funding for this newly created Disinformation Board, which is within the Department of Homeland Security. And Biden officials are saying that this blowback jeopardizes broader bipartisan efforts, like as if Republicans would be on board with, any effort to censor speech within the government. But the Republicans are standing up for what's right.
Well, absolutely, and they should. And I think it's important to remember that DHS, is a compilation of about 8 different operating agencies, from cybersecurity to the Border Patrol, and the list goes on. And each one of those components has specific authorities to fight disinformation from foreign adversaries, and they do that under the guise of the authorities given to them by Congress. What DHS has done under this administration is create this board inside the Secretary's office that's very political, that has no authorization by Congress, and therefore has no oversight by Congress. So the work of the department should remain inside the components at a non-political level, doing what they've done for the past 20 years. And I don't understand, and I don't see the importance or the need for this type of board, which has no authority.
Right. Chad, listening to Secretary Mayorkas on with Brett Baer on Sunday, he was suggesting that Haitian migrants are trying to get into this country illegally because of disinformation from Mexican cartels, rather than knowing that the border was wide open.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of the most dishonest messaging that you can have from the department. Look, individuals are crossing that border, whether they're from Haiti, Venezuela, or any other country, 125 different countries. They know the border is open because of the policies, not because of the messaging. You can have any type of messaging that you want, but if you don't close the border and you allow individuals to come across, to be caught and then released, that is all that they need to understand and know, and that's the message that is being sent back not only to Central and South America, but all over the world.
Chad Wolf, always terrific to see you, Chad. Thank you so much for being